Should be live. What's going on? Right. Okay. Excellent condition. All right. Let's put that camera on just in case. Here we go. Oh, it would help if I put my Zoom camera on. Oh, God, happy days. Now, have we got anybody out there now? 5 waiting. Well, okay, let's just see if we can just move us on a bit to your channel. Ooh. Right, here we go, folks. Oh, we're here. So I need to know, we've got Christine, Pat, John, and Jessica. Right, so first things first, we're going to be doing half an hour today simply because there's an ongoing party around me. So I just need to know, type in, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And hello, you pain in the. Right. So I need to know, Christine, why I'm a pain. So there you go. Jessica, can you see my wonderfulness? And also, Jessica, that goes without saying. Oh, right, there's 4 of you out there, right, watching me, right? We're gonna have another like. We're gonna do a short one today, actually, simply because it's my stepdaughter's birthday. So I think what I should do really is get a nice map in the background. So we have officially started. I know you've all, except for Jessica, you've been involved with my classes this week. What I would like to hear, is there any questions in regards to my classes this week that have been all about the Amazon and the archaeology that has been found across the Amazon? So I think the best thing to do would be to put this in the background. This is a pretty good one. Oh, it's the wrong way around. So let's just put that the right way. Okay, and can we see this? Hang on. Oh no, that's not working. Right, now rotate. Oh, I'm getting there. That's the wrong way round. Oh my God. Right, so how do I deal with this problem? Okay. I don't deal with it that way. So, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change something a minute. And, oh, we got it the right way. Fab. Good. And there's, oh, that's not going well, is it? You know, this technology, it's still, you know, I've not been doing these YouTube things for very long, and it's just trying to work out that technology to try and get it right. So let's just try and, I tell you what, let's put a map of Brazil in the background. That'll be good. It's all going weird today. Sorry. Here we go. And I think we'll do that, and we'll do that, and we'll do that. We'll do that. Oh, there we go. If I do that. Right, have we got any questions about the Amazon so far? And let's see what we got. Oh, brilliant. Top stuff. Top stuff. So let's get really started. And All right. Have you got any questions about the Amazon so far? Let's see what we've got. Oh, brilliant. So we've got lots of questions coming up. And right, okay. Okay, we got rid of the psychedelic stuff. It's fine. So here we go. Happy birthday to the stepchildren. Good, I'll pass it on. Papa Smurf. Who is Papa Smurf? I love it. And Carl, I'm delighted to see your fabulous face again. Happy birthday to stepdaughter. You know, all this praise that's being bestowed on me, it's like the idea of Narcissus. But I think what I need to do is thank everybody for joining us today. We will do 30 minutes today, looking at the Amazon, and we look at the archaeology associated with the Amazon. And I think what we've got to do is mention that the new finds associated with the Amazon are extremely controversial. And when you do a series of lectures like this, so this is the 7th time that I've presented about the archaeology of the Amazon this week, and I've presented it 6 times in classes. I opened on Monday by saying that what they're finding in regards to the Amazon is really changing everything that we understand about the Amazon. And this little plan at the back of me, if I move sort of so you can see some of the writing, it has been thought for many years that people didn't live in the Amazon basin. And if they did live in the Amazon basin, they were very small tribes, very small tribal communities, and that's where it remained. And with that sense of tribal communities, it has been a surprise, therefore, that in the last 20 years, that they've actually been finding whole towns, villages, cities, plazas, buildings, roads, buckets and bucket loads of locally produced pottery. And when we think of this, it dictates that we've got a very, very rich culture and a very, very rich series of archaeology that seems to be making the light of day. And it's discussing the problem associated with that new archaeological evidence that is coming to light. So this isn't a landscape today and in the far distant past or in the near distant past that's only been occupied by people living in villages that move around. This is a world that is extremely more complicated than we ever thought previous. So when we think of the Amazon, if we look at this chart here behind me, it shows a place on the Brazilian coast, on 2 tributaries that lead into the Great Amazon River to Manaus, and into the heartland of Brazil and flowing into Colombia and Peru and so on. Marajo Island in Brazil, that circle there, it clearly says, in the past 20 years, we've discovered foundations of houses. These are not the same types of houses that archaeologists have been excavating across the Amazonia for the past 50 years. These are houses that you would associate with a developing world or a developed world, because there are roads, there's formation of those houses, markets, plazas, and so on. And at Marajo Island, Brazil, they've been excavating very elaborate pottery, and evidence of advanced agriculture. And listen to this, right? Advanced agriculture, that means cutting down large swathes of trees, or planting in amongst the trees, but the dense undergrowth of the tropical rainforest, you've got to cut down trees. That goes without saying. So a population on the Marajo Island, which is quite a large island, really, a population of 100,000. So that's quite astounding. Now, the people living there would have formed, in a way, their own civilization. Like you would describe the Etruscans civilization, like you would describe the people of Great Zimbabwe civilization in Egypt. So this was a civilization in itself. And something very, very interesting occurred today. I received an email of one of our members in Lantwick Major called Goff. And Goff sent me this press cutting, and it related to Roman finds, a Roman sword, a Roman gladius that had come from a shipwreck in the northern continent of North America. And why is this interesting for me when we're looking at Brazil and we're looking at these newly discovered sites? Well, the answer is quite clear, really. You've got a rich culture, and usually with rich cultures, you've got trade and you've got circulation. And if you're finding evidence in North America in the Roman period of trading vessels and swords and so on, there's no reason why you can't see the same evidence in Brazil. Now, the point is that we do have evidence from Brazil of links with the Roman Empire. That may sound absolutely nuts, but it's not. And by the way, everybody, please subscribe and please like. We've got 8 viewers. Please put messages on the side. We're looking at the archaeology of the Amazon and newly discovered remains. Lecture's not going to go on forever today, so we've got a click-off point at 45 minutes past 1. So, you've got 20 minutes to get something in there. Any questions, any statements, and so on. Back in the 1990s, I used to have a friend in Brazil, and she's still a friend if she's out there, called Fernanda Rolim. She was from Sao Paulo, and she used to write to me on a regular basis. And one day she wrote to me at the beginning of the 1990s. She said, look what's been found in Rio de Janeiro harbor. And I was quite astounded by what I was reading. She said at Rio de Janeiro harbor, they had actually found Roman amphora. And I've said this week that whether I understood what she was saying, or whether I was really able to connect with what she was saying, but I was actually astounded anyway. I just thought, you've got Roman trade goods heading out to Brazil from one vessel that they've excavated. This could be by complete accident, or is it, a vessel leaving the coastline, as I call them, coastal hugger vessels, leaving the coastline of Europe and Africa. It's a difficult concept to think that we've got evidence so far of 2 vessels that have gone off course, and I'm thinking maybe there's a lot more to this. And then somebody said, well, if you've got evidence of trade between Europe and America, what about the other way? And I can remember going into a museum in Cyprus. I always get this mixed up. It was the Limassol Museum in Cyprus. I went to the Limassol Museum in Cyprus, and as I looked around, there was some really interesting art, carved art, stone cut art. And I was looking at this and I was thinking, this looks very similar. And this was back in 1989, before I had had this letter from Fernanda. And I was looking at this art and I thought, my God, this looks like stuff that, was carved in the Aztec and Mayan and Olmec kingdoms. I'm not actually saying that there's any links of any craftsman going from America to Europe, but it was quite interesting that. And then I have this letter. So now, John, that before I move on, John, that's a really interesting question. What sort of vessel was it? Can't have been Roman, I suspect. Well, the answer is, John, you're also right, and you're also wrong at the same time. In fact, John, I can actually say you're right, because when I use the word Roman, John, I'm talking about those within the Roman Empire. So the Carthaginians were great boat builders. The Egyptians were great boat builders. Their predecessors, the Phoenicians, were great boat builders. The Greeks were great boat builders. So, John, you are right, but these are all part of the Roman Empire. So that's the definition. But these vessels clearly had Roman trade goods on them. And that's really the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say, John, is that there's this link. There's this link going back and forth. Okay. Now, it's I've got a lady in Langford Major called Kathy, and she wouldn't mind her name being mentioned because she's a bit of a narcissist like me. She likes to be heard and praised, but as all actors do. But Kathy corrected me on the pronunciation of this here, Xingu. I was calling it the Zingi people, and then she said it was the Shingi people, and then I thought, right, okay, but it actually turned out the pronunciation is the Zinu people. So the Zinu, the Zinu sort of sub-state within Brazil. It's a local tribal land. The Zaganos, or Zaguanos, which is the right pronunciation, the Zaguanos of the Zinu territory. There, we've been excavating evidence of moats, finding pottery, roads, central plazas, villages, causeways, canals, all the way back to 800 AD. Now, there's lots of significance to this. The significance is that the people living, the descendants of the original Zinu world, we're not going to call it the Zinu civilization because they probably were called something different 1,100, 1,200 years ago. But the descendants of the Zaganos still use some of the bridges and canals that their ancestors used, which is interesting. They don't live like their ancestors, but why should they? The Bedouins became the Nabateans, and the Nabateans become the Bedouins. It doesn't mean to say they're any less civilized. It's a bit like being involved in a relationship. Initially, the relationship starts off. You've got this wonderful idea of having children and a house and all the rest of it, and then you decide to take the children off, sell your house, and go off in a camper van. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about civilizations change, and the thing is, in archaeology, we argue, how dare civilizations change? How dare they do that? Because we don't really understand why they're changing. And by the way, thank you everybody joining me today. The viewers, please like and subscribe. Trying to get my subscription rate up to 800 by the end of next week. That's a bit narcissistic, isn't it? But anyway, but this is all good because I'm trying to get messages out and I'm trying to teach people here. and naturally this is free. So anyway, it's that sense of trying to understand who the Xenu people are from their descendants is not the best way of going around it. Trying to understand why they changed is not the best way of going around it. Trying to check in there, for example, the civilization was wiped out by disease or slave traders is not the best way of looking at these things. So what you've got to do, you've got to openly try to understand what's going on from the archaeology. And unfortunately, we still know very little about the archaeology. So if I can give you an idea of what we're talking about, the problem, what we're talking about. So this is archaeology that's only been discovered over the past 20 years. There's civilization after civilization being found. It's not a sexy thing to talk about. It's not a sexy thing to talk about South American civilization. So you don't really see it in the media. Every year we're getting a new civilization being found. Over the past 20 years, that means 20 civilizations at least, probably a lot more than that. But over the past 20 years, I'm a bit of an obsessive with this. It's likely that it's come to the news that only 3 of those civilizations I've read about have actually been reported in the media. Do you want to come and say hello live on YouTube? Yeah, sure. Come on. This is Bronwyn. Okay, there's a bit of a lag. This is Bronwyn, and this is Dylan. Get in, you Dylan. Right. It's Bronwyn's birthday, so everybody. Right. Yeah. You will come up in a minute. It's a 20 minute lag. So it's this girl's birthday. And how old are you today, Bronwyn? 12. She's 12. And here we go. There I am. And this is Dylan. So there you are. Oh my God, you faded. Get in there. Oh, spooky. Oh yes. Oh my God. And you can't even see you.
I mean, you can probably see my arm if I moved it.
Move your arm in. Get your arm in you.
Oh no.
No, that's good. That'll eventually come up.
Saw me.
Did you see you?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm talking about the Amazon. Dylan, right? The Amazon jungle. Those trees, have they been always there or are they planted?
Planted and some of them have been there.
They've been telling you this in school, have they?
No. I know.
All right. Well, these two have got the answer. It's great. It's great. And maybe, right, when we do a topic you're interested in, you can come on live on Zoom if you want. Yeah, Dylan's into it. So Dill, get your head directly in there, right? In there. Come on, camera. Come on. Get in there. You elevate, and there's little girl in the background. No. There we go. There he is.
I don't want to be in the background.
Involved in the future in my videos. Right. No. So what are you two up to now?
I'm gonna go play with the rats.
Go and play with the rats, and I'll see you soon. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Sorted.
Goodbye, YouTube people.
Excellent.
Subscribe to my channel.
Oh, what is your channel?
Dylan full stop.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that little bit of an interference, guys, but it's good to get people on the screen. So anyway, so where was I? Somebody remind me where I was. Right, okay. So one of the points that these two have just made is really important. They haven't heard this bit of the lecture. They both said about the Amazon jungle. Both of them knew that some of the trees in the Amazon jungle had actually been planted, where in fact we're always told that all the trees in the Amazon jungle are actually natively grown. And the idea of a pristine Amazon jungle is no longer what archaeologists think about. What we actually start to think about in regards to the Amazon jungle is that large swathes of trees have actually been planted by human beings. So it's not this pristine primeval landscape that we used to think it was. So what I'd like to do is again, what I'm going to do is change the image to sort of move on a little bit more. So again, do another little bit of a screen share. I'm gradually getting used to this technology. It's really different. It's really different than sort of teaching on Zoom without YouTube. So this is rather interesting, this image that we have behind us, right? Very, very interesting, this image that we have behind us. Okay, people, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm just keeping that in there. Bless them. Right, so we've just changed the image behind me. And there we go. Brilliant. Now, this is rather important, this. Because you've got Terra Preta, which is the dark earth layer, and you've got normal, right? Now, you would be mistaken for thinking that the Terra Preta is in fact the native landscape of the Amazon. You know, that's what the trees are growing in. And then the other one that says normal, you might think that that's the land after human beings have been there. But actually, it's the other way round. The land itself that we've added to with dung and human waste and refuge and all the rest of it is the Terra Preta. That's been built up over a long period of time. Perfect to plant trees in, perfect to grow crops in. This is the point. And then the other one, the normal, that normal soil is the soil where human beings haven't interfered with the landscape. And when you've got a landscape that hasn't been interfered by human beings, what you do see is that it's very acidic, and it's only the top layers that are mulched and rotting trees and wood and insects and all the rest of it. And after that's been ploughed, it's only after a short period of time in the normal that crops start to fail and not grow anymore. But with the Terra Preta, our ancestors knew in the Amazon that these layers would be perfect for planting and growing things in for a very, very long period of time. Now, we've got a bit of a question coming up here. It's got, could this just be a trade in antiques to North America or Brazil? Right, okay. What you talk, what, right, Christine, are you saying that these goods that we find in Rio de Janeiro harbor, are you saying that they've been moved from North America to the south? Well, they got there somehow. So that's the point. That's really the point. What I would like to do next is I'm gonna change my screen a little bit again. Get into the background. I'm very, very aware of time because I'm a bit restricted today. By the way, we're going to be looking at the archaeology of Great Zimbabwe next Friday, and obviously all those who join me throughout the week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two images before we go. And it's this one. Oh, no, that's not that one. This one. Okay. Can you all study this a minute? And I'm going to get a glass of water. So I'll be back. Is anyone actually seeing anything? A pattern? I'm back. Is anyone actually seeing a pattern? And what the point of this lecture this week has been really to understand what's actually there. Can I just ask these questions? Right. Trading ships, I don't understand. An idea of the ship that these items were found on is needed, really. Yes, in order to date the voyage. Now, this is really important, but it's not likely. We've got no archaeological evidence to say that anyone in the medieval period is actually trading in Roman amphora. But what I would like is John and Christine, before this goes nuts, if you two can do a little bit of research and maybe find evidence of those wrecks. And believe me, I do know of one article on the internet published in 2015 that they are discussing the finding of a Roman wreck off the North American coast. So there you go. Right, this map behind us. Okay, so right, this map behind us. As you look at the river, that's the Amazon, and along it you can actually see going all the way out to the sea. You can see the yellow and pink area, and that's the areas that we're talking about, that we see a great movement of changes within the landscape. And all those little black dots there indicate Brazil nuts, domesticated forms of Brazil nuts. So they must have been planted. If you look at the top of the chart going towards Colombia and Ecuador, you can actually see the word sweet potato. They've been planted. Cocoa has been planted. Pineapple's been planted as well. Pepper's been planted. All of these things have actually been planted. That means that human beings have been there. They've cultivated the landscape, and the main thing to be said about this is that we've got a lot of human activity. And that site there at Manaus, what we're going to see, have we got a rat there? Let's put the rat on TV.
He likes the pepper.
Okay, so everybody, and there's one of our pet rats. There you go. Excellent. He's a famous rat now. So what was I saying? So what we're talking about is a bit of a mixed judgment of this thing today. But what we're saying is all over. Let's do that again. All over. We're seeing human occupation, the removal of trees and planting. We're also seeing large towns and cities. We're also seeing down there in the south at Zinu, the Zaganos people. We're seeing roadways which are 50 meters wide, and to create roadways that are 50 meters wide, you've got to clear large tracts of trees. And again, back to what Bronnie and Dylan said earlier on, they're telling people in school now that in fact this area has seen trees cut down and new trees introduced and planting over thousands of years. Human beings have interfered with this landscape that was once thought of pristine, and have very much changed this landscape. So we're going a bit longer than I thought, but what I'm going to do, I want to show another image, and if we can, right, which one am I going to show you? Right, just oh yes. There's an image of a piece of archaeology that was absolutely amazing, right? And it's this one. Oh, hang on. If I go over here, that's where it makes a bit more interesting. So, so if we do that there, this is in the north western part of the landscape of Brazil. And what I'm going to do is get you back up there. Can I just remind everybody to like and share? What we're looking at is with this. This is, as I said, in northwestern Brazil, and this is amazing. This image of a site. Three things about this: these were not known about until this area was cleared of trees. And it was only these things are only being known about because there's been extensive aerial photography and LiDAR, because lots of these things are really difficult to work out on the ground, even if the ditches are 2 or 3 meters deep. I've been to lots of archaeological sites in this country, and it says on the Ordnance Survey map, this ditch is 1 meter deep. And you think, I can't find it. But if you see it from above, you can actually find it. This is rather interesting, because if somebody showed me this, I would start questioning where this was. I would say, oh, this is definitely somewhere in England or Wales. This is a hill fort, but it's not. This is actually in South America. And you're thinking, well, you know, a small tribal people would not have built this. And then what we are seeing is that, you know, we're seeing whole civilizations with links and trade and so on and so on. I think this is amazing. If anyone said to me this looks like an Iron Age hill fort, I wouldn't be surprised. But this type of archaeology dates from about 1,200 years ago, and what we find is loads of different civilizations doing different things with no links with each other. I mean, it's almost as if these people are so far away from links and trade with other people within their landscape. Remember, from one end of Brazil to the other end, it's thousands of miles. You know, so a group of people on the eastern coast of Brazil, even if they live there for hundreds of years with trade links with Europe and Africa, maybe, they would not know about the Inca. This is what we're talking about. And the same thing could be said that people in Africa don't know about people on Easter Island. It's the same type of thing. So what I can do, let's answer some more of these questions. Exactly. Right. All right. Two things, right? Anne and John are going at me on one reason. It's saying that antique Roman trading vessels. Well, okay, right. Yeah. You look at the HMS Victory, right? The HMS Victory is about 230 years old, and the timbers are starting to rot and it's all starting to fall apart, right? If you kept that out at sea for 100 years, it would be riddled with rot. So even, okay, John, if a Roman vessel itself was built in 200 years AD and it was still on the water 150 years later, it's still a Roman vessel. Guys, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you trying to say that you don't accept that there's a chance that there was trading between Europe and America? If so, say it. Don't fudge around the issue. There you go. Jessica, are the black dots findings that seem to be very center and mostly south? The black dots, if we go back to this, right? If we go back to this again, so what those black dots actually are is actually places where we've got domesticated Brazil nuts, which again is this. So what we're seeing, I know there's one point with this, Jessica, even though they look like they're concentrated in the center of the country, right? This is the place that's been studied. These are the bits that the archaeologists can get to. The other areas, the other millions of acres, millions of square acres have not been surveyed. That's why there's a concentration where they are. There's no reason to say that there ain't massive cities still to be found. And again, look at this wonderful pottery that they're actually finding. Absolutely amazing pottery. What I'd like to do is finish with a final image. Well, actually, no, not a final image. Just show you this. The terra preta, the dark soil, that's a former habitational site over hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, perfect to grow crops. The other one is the natural earth that hasn't seen much or any human interference. And the one thing President Bolsonaro of Brazil is actually saying is that these trees have been cut down before. What damage are we doing by cutting down the trees again and allowing Mother Nature to come back? The difference is that today we're stripping thousands of acres of trees in 1 or 2 areas, and then back then they would be cutting 2 or 3 acres spread across the whole of Brazil in different areas. It's the difference of scale and where it's being done. If Bolsonaro basically said, what we'll do, we'll cut down 1 acre, leave 1 acre, cut down another acre, leave an acre, that's probably the way to do it. But I don't advocate cutting down trees at all. I love trees. I'm a conservationist as well as an archaeologist, but I'm also a realist, and I've got to stay away from politics as much as I can. So let's just let's find one last image. Do you know, one that caused a lot of controversy was this one. Bingo. And actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a larger scale one of this. Let's just try and get a larger scale one of these in my little slide box. The problem is with the way Zoom works, it's difficult to do a PowerPoint and have me on the screen as big as I am, because I know the only reason why 1 or 2 of you take place in these YouTube things on a Friday is to actually get a full view of me. And John and Jessica are definitely in that category. John doesn't take part in these YouTube things other than to see me. So this is really interesting. What we have is the scale of this is amazing. It's over 100 meters in diameter. And you can clearly see the banks and ditches here. Now, one thing that's being said, yeah, it looks Roman. Do you know what, Anne, right? John should have said that. It looks Roman. John's let us down completely today. You know, it does look Roman. It really, really does. There we go. If I go over here, that's better. It does really look Roman. And there is one, this is basically in the acre state, ACRE, the acre state of northwestern Brazil. And I look at this, and the archaeologists in northwestern Brazil, and similar ones found in Bolivia as well, part of the Amazon Basin projects, they basically argue that these are geoglyphs. Now, a geoglyph makes you think of the Nazca lines or the Uffington horse and so on. And they say, well, we don't know what these are, but they're definitely not occupational sites. They're definitely ceremonial. And I just sit back and I think, well, the trees have been cut down. There was a civilization at this point. That is the point. Not tossing about trying to argue what these things were. The real thing about this archaeology is that it's there being discovered. There were former civilizations. That's the point. Don't argue whether aliens have created these things, or Inca have created these things, or Westerners created these things. The issue is that the trees were cut down to create these in the first place, well before the Spanish or Portuguese got there. And this isn't part of the Incan civilization. This is something very different. But these were created in the past, and that's the point that's being made. So what I'd like to do now is, I've gone well over where I wanted to do today. And what I would like to ask is, are there any questions that you would like to ask today? Any questions? So again, thanks for your likes and subscriptions. And next week we'll be just again a bit longer. Next week we'll be doing this next week between 1:10 and what's the other time? Between 1:10 and we'll be doing it next week for over an hour. And next week we'll be looking at Great Zimbabwe and Mapamwage, which is in South Africa. One thing I want to do, we've got several class recordings of this week. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share one of the class recordings. I'd like some debate at the end, actually, if anyone's got anything controversial they'd like to say. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that in the video. So there's the video. Good. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get the other video as well, if I can, if this doesn't go wrong. If I get rid of that and I get the other video in there. I put interesting headline news on this, sort of the archaeologist justifies the cutting down of the tropical rainforest because you're no longer cutting down virgin trees. You're actually cutting down trees that have been planted by humans. So why can't we take them out? But there's one statement I'd like to make about that. It's a rather interesting statement. So if I paste these onto the talk box there, and there we go. I'll put that into the talk box. There's another one. There we go. Now, Anne's made an interesting point there, right? Right, Anne's made an interesting point there, right? We've got to think the following, that all of these have been created without contact with any other civilizations. It's very likely that lots of these people building these towns, cities, and roads had no links with the Inca at all. In fact, lots of the roads that we see with the Xinu people, 50 meters wide, are 49 meters wider than the Inca roads. So there's no influence there. And they're built very differently. These ones have curbs along the entire length. The Inca roads are very different. So the idea of determinism, the word determinism means that people create their civilization without links with other worlds. And it's really disrespectful sometimes to say that they've had links with other worlds. And I don't know why you retracted that statement, Anne, but without links with other worlds, that's right. The word diffusionism is where it all comes from one point, everybody on the planet's influenced from that one point. And the one last thing I'd like to say is that it's cutting down the trees for modern day agriculture because the trees had been planted and cut down before is not a justification for cutting down the trees now. What the Zeguanos people of southern Brazil would actually argue is that you can manage the tropical rainforest, you can take trees from the tropical rainforest, but you can't cut down all the trees and decimate the landscape, which is what's happening today. I know in the past, whole landscapes of trees have actually been cut down. But with those whole landscapes of trees being cut down in the past, or burnt down in the past, whole areas of trees were actually left intact. And I think the question is, how do you manage cutting down trees in the tropical rainforest and keep the trees for future generations? I think that's the question. So what I'd like to ask now is, finally, please like and subscribe. Please support my work on YouTube. Please watch all my other videos. There's lots of them. And you've got 1 minute, everybody, to ask any questions before I go. I really appreciated your interaction today. This has been really positive. Your homework, John and Christine, is to go out and find those ships, those Roman vessels, Greek vessels, or any other vessels that have been found washed up and smashed on the rocks. That's particularly research for you, John. Thanks for joining us, Jessica. And who did we have earlier on joining us? We had somebody. Thanks for joining us, Pat and Papa Smurf. Right. Okay. I'm going to hang on you for a moment. Then we're going to call it a day. Thank you very much. And I will just wait. Again, thanks for everything today. And next week, those joining me will have a wonderful lecture about Great Zimbabwe, a map of Mbage. The topics of the classes have not changed. We're still looking at the destruction of civilizations, but from another angle. So I'm going to say thank you. thank you. I'm going to say goodbye, because obviously I think everybody's done today. And I'm going to go in a moment. So the reason why I'm obsessed with liking and subscribing, YouTube see the popularity of a channel and promote people's work by the likes or dislikes, actually. Dislikes and likes on a YouTube channel, and the numbers of people watching things like this determine with YouTube whether they promote what you do. They see that the provider like me is very, very serious. And Anne said, thank you, Carl. I think there is more to learn every day. Thank you. So what I'm going to say goodbye. And thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. My pleasure. And the reason why we cut this short today is because I've got a ghost walk tonight, and I've got to get my costume ready, and I've got to get everything ready, and I've got to be on the ball. So that's it. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I'm ending now.